I think I've used it once, but it
Yeah.
makes me feel like I'm a, I don't know, fitness coach. It creeps me out, and not in the right way, I'd
Oh,
say.
okay. Okay. Interesting. Depending on the vibe, I guess.
Okay, Julius taking us live.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, everyone. Oh, look at how many people we have. Exciting.
That's a
How
lot
are
of
you doing,
hello.
Erwan?
I'm good, thank
Good.
you. How are you, Bill?
I'm good. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, sure.
um, the event has started and is live. Oh, damn. That's crazy. We had so much interest for this webinar. I think we had more than 1,200 people register. So the bar is definitely quite high, like a little bit higher than where I'm standing. And no pressure at all, of
Of
course.
course
Like,
not. Of course not.
yeah, we'll try to keep it fun, and maybe we can start getting started. Let me pull up our slides, and since we're greeting everyone, let's, yes, I am Greek. Let's hear it in the chat where you guys are from and what's your number one goal in 2026 regarding your go-to-market signals, outbound. We want to hear all of it, so bring it on, and we'll promise to do our best to deliver from our end. Damn, look at that. We have people all the way from France, of course, and to Pakistan and Peru.
Peru.
Guys, I mean, for people to wake up or
What
stay
time
up
is it in
late,
Peru? Is like 2, 2 a.m.
I
now?
know, right? Crazy, crazy. Okay, awesome. Then, being respectful of everyone's time, let me briefly give the agenda, and then me and Erwan will start wrapping. So, this is an interesting time to be doing this webinar because there's a lot of talk about signals and go to market. It has happened for the past, I think, 6 months or more, but there's still not a really clear way of how to interpret signals, how to utilize them, and how to actually make them work. Like, there's all the content on LinkedIn, this signal and that signal, but it becomes super technical and a little bit weird how to set them up and how to actually leverage them. And B, doesn't necessarily always lead to pipeline, just fancy posts. So we wanted to showcase starting from the basics all the way to advanced things. So we'll try to cover pretty much everyone. With regards to what the playbook for implementing signals in 2026 looks like, how the best-in-class teams use it. We'll be including examples both from what Lemlist does, so you'll get to hear from a very big kind of company how they're implementing that with a sales team with multiple go-to-market motions in place. There's also, and I'm going to pass everyone the mic for that. There's also going to be a major Lemlist announcement, so it's coming right before the end. So definitely stay tuned for that. I've been peeking at the slides, and I'm just so excited because we've been using Lemlist pretty much since 2018, 2019. And I've seen the evolution of the product all the way from email to multi-channel to now signals and intent campaigns. And it's just mind-blowing. And obviously, throughout the presentation, feel free to drop questions on the chat. We'll do our best to answer as many as we can in the end. Of course, there'll be a recording, and there will be also extra gifts right after the Q&A section. So you have definitely quite a few reasons to stay tuned with us. That's it. Everyone, anything you want to share?
No,
Or should we
I just
jump
wanted
straight
to say,
in?
like, my CPO at Lemlist allow me to share what's happening at the end of the slides. So I think you should be there at that time, and also quite excited to do that with you, Bill. I think that's a lot of insights and actionable stuff for you guys to crack the GTM for your company.
That's awesome. Let's get started. So I'm going to talk about problems, and I'll keep it brief, and then we can move on because I hate problems unless they're hinting at something or they allow us to grow. So the number one thing, and this is through the conversation we were having with Erwan and a lot of other smart people in the go-to-market space. We work with some big companies, but also with startups and companies that are just getting started, is the shift that we're seeing is more volume doesn't necessarily mean more results. This is for a multitude of reasons. Channels are getting more crowded. Obviously, thanks to the infrastructure and the tools we have, we're able to spin up inboxes, run multi-channel campaigns, and just blow things up really easily. There's more data than ever, which is both a good thing and a bad thing if you know how to use them. And we're going to be talking about data and signals quite a bit today. More tools than ever before, and yet at the same time, pipeline performance is down. And we're not seeing the ROI or the return we expected. Like if you ask people what it took to be successful in outbound 5 years ago, it would be a lot of different things. You didn't need warm up, you didn't need 50 inboxes. There were so many things that were different, which kind of points to the fact that adding more volume doesn't necessarily mean adding more results. And AI, even though it is helping in quite a few ways, it has also saturated the channels because it's made it super easy. And then at the same time, the channels like LinkedIn, Google, Microsoft, etc., are also using AI to filter our high-performing go-to-market campaign. So that's number one. Volume does no longer mean more results. More volume is not more results. And then the second one is, again, I'm a huge proponent of AI. We've all been using it across SalesCaptain. It's embedded deeply in the Lemlist platform. But when it comes to how teams perceive it, how marketing and sales teams kind of see it, it creates a lot of chaos and disconnect when it comes to go-to-market execution. And the reason for it is it allows a lot of experimentation and it allows you to spin up a campaign really fast. But at the same time, where does that leave sales? And how can sales tap into signals, tap into AI copywriting? Who's managing it? How is it centralized? Also, the availability of data we have a lot of times can be a real issue. And I'm saying this like we have a Slack channel where all the signals we detect, people signing up to webinars, visiting the website, booking demos, checking out our content, downloading lead magnets, they flow in real time. This channel like literally never stops. Imagine that at a bigger company that has a lot of go-to-market motions, that's doing SEO, that's doing LinkedIn content, marketing, etc. It's so easy to get just flooded with data, flooded with signals, which give you no insight as to how important is the signal. Is it just someone randomly visiting the About Us page? Is it someone booking a demo? Is it a big company booking a demo? Or is it an account being reactivated? So we do have access to the signals and AI allows us to interpret them, but at the same time, it's hard to orchestrate them in a unified kind of way. And for most B2B companies, especially the ones going a little bit more upmarket, 20% of their TAM is about 70% of their revenue. So we have to accurately prioritize accounts when that's happening. And I'm going to pass it on to Erwan to kind of discuss a little bit about a big shift that we're seeing at the same time as well.
Yeah, because I'm like Bill, I don't like problems. So I want to have some solutions. I mean, kind of a way to think about the solutions. So I think, yeah, the GTM shift is kind of real right now. What's Bill said is like, I'm taking the parallel from SEO. I think SEO for ages worked the same way. You get volume, you get more keywords and so on. And now, the traffic coming from SEO is less and less qualitative. And I think that's the same for outbound. It's not because you're sending a ton of email that you get a ton of results. So I think that's the first shift. And also I think for ages, I think people start thinking about GTM for build around channels. So they think about, hey, we should send email, we should send LinkedIn DM, we should do events, whatever. I think right now what's happening in the sales team, we are seeing at Lemlist succeeding in outbound is like they build a GTM around the customer and they do something that's, I think, kind of simple. It's like building an experience. And so you're building an experience for someone to buy. And so at least right now people think about, okay, we need to create a story and we need to make sure like that lead is entering a journey that fits his needs and fits the signals they gave us. And so I think that's the first shift. And people right now think about channels, but I think channels should live together in a simple orchestration and a simple way of doing it. The second one is like we are actually at Lemlist, we are seeing best-in-class sales team, and from 11 Labs to Cursor to AirOps and so on. And so I think first one is like they work hand in hand with marketing, RevOps and GTM. So right now there's no like a big sales team working sometimes with the marketing team and so on. I think right now is, the term GTM is used for something. And so those people work hand in hand with marketing and RevOps to identify those channels and orchestrate them, making sure like the sales people can actually use it. Second thing is like they don't run outbound in volume. Still, I
Yeah,
think like right now you should probably target, smaller amount of accounts and making sure like you have the right message at the right time. And the third one is like they align the timing, context, and precision. So I
exactly.
think at Lemlist right now we think like the best timing always win against like a perfect copy or whatever. And so I think right now like if we think about the GTM motion in the company, when sales and marketing share signals at reach, become relevant, of course, but at least work, and that's everything we need to have, and we are purchasing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think someone's saying on the chat is signals the panacea right now. I wouldn't say that signals is the panacea unless we redefine what signals is. And this is a little
Yeah.
bit about what I want to share and what we're going to be talking about as well, because I think we kind of misinterpret a little bit
Mm.
what signals means. And let me just get it out of the way and just say signals is not logging into a platform saying I'll enable companies hiring, people changing, CMOs changing jobs, and people viewing my profile. Like that's not necessarily what we
Yeah.
mean when it comes to signals. So I'll share a little bit more about it and how we will go about kind of shaping the solution, which is it's not just the signals. Also, that's one thing. Like the signals are the different kind of touch points, the events, let's say, that are taking place both around your business but also in the market overall. A signal might be someone visited your website or someone submitted a form. That's still a signal because it's an action, it's an event that happened. What we do with that event is totally up to us. So the first thing is, okay, what are the types of signals and how can we use them? So there's 2 or 3 different categories. There's obviously the default signals, the intent signals tools. Those are definitely useful. There's the data that we have access to, data from our CRM, data from our website, data from the people that we interact with, the people who sign up to our podcasts or webinars, who engage with our marketing in general. We are creating a lot of signals and we're helping our audiences create a lot of signals as businesses. It's just that oftentimes we don't track those signals. That's one thing. And the second one is the modern CRM is not equipped to track them, but I'll leave that aside. And the second one is obviously external data, external signals. So can we maybe scrape the attendees of a specific conference about go-to-market or about marketing or about any different sector? That by itself, we can look at it as, oh, these are the conference attendees, but we can also look at it as a signal that these people are active in the field, active in, let's say, the retail space, and they're interested in learning more and expanding. So they might be a better audience to our campaigns than just randomly going on LinkedIn, downloading the industry list for a specific category and just ramping out at everyone kind of wild. So the interesting thing is if you start viewing things as signals, as triggers for campaigns, data literally becomes the new creative. And this is something like I really want to emphasize that became true with what we're seeing in the market is the availability of data, not just the prepackaged data. I have a beef with that, but the signals and the data sets you can create by scraping listicles, by checking out what's out there and being more smart with how you target people, is pretty much what's going to be driving go-to-market, because you can reach out to an Eskimo or someone in a really icy area and sell them a fridge, and you can reach out and you can use really eloquent copywriting, and you can reach out to someone in the middle of the desert holding an ice cream cone that's melting, and you can say fridge $1,000, and they'll instantly buy. So the data and the ability to interpret data, it's not just signals, whether we call them signals or not. The ability to interpret the data and understand who is it the person that we're talking to, what is their role, what is their business like, and how strong is the signal. Did they visit the website once or 20 times? Allows us to tailor outreach, not necessarily with AI copywriting or things like that, but just say the right thing to the right person at the right time. And that's kind of what we're trying to kind of pass on. How does that turn into a framework? And how do we orchestrate that across our marketing, sales, and ops teams so that they all kind of work together?
Are you saying like people entering this webinar are giving us a signal?
Uh, 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 Yes, they are. They're giving us a signal that they care about go-to-market and signals. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
if in the end, Lemlist says, oh, you can leverage signals, or our platform allows you to leverage signals, I mean, is it a coincidence?
Yeah.
Or is it an engineered? Yeah, it is a signal. If you ask someone in a webinar what's your number one issue with go-to-market, that's also a signal. The fact that we are here also signals things about our companies, that we care about it. I wouldn't say that we're in the forefront of signals, but I'll let other people say that. But I would say it says that we deeply care about signals enough to put our faces in front of 1,200 people and kind of riff.
Yeah, for sure.
Then go for it.
Let's go. So I think there's still a huge gap in activation right now, and I think as Bill said, I think we have a ton of signals right now, and I think people just don't know how to prioritize them and making sure it's the right one to activate. Because of course, if you take an example of someone visiting a website, attending a trade show, and then I don't know, requesting a playbook on LinkedIn and so on, you don't know which one is the most important one. So I think signals is there. I think right now we need insights also in some dashboards, and then you need the action. And the way of activating those signals right now is doing everything at the same time in the single place, and making sure the action is based on solved in signals you have at the first.
Yeah, exactly. And it's how do you capture the signal? How do you kind of build the dashboard and then activate it? What are some of the things you're hearing at Lemlist? Like, how is it?
We hear it all the time. We hear it all the time, because I think people right now, I mean, we have different kind of ICP at Lemlist, using Lemlist, some RevOps, some head of sales, VP sales, SDR, BDR, AE, and I think right now signals is very trendy, and I think everyone wants to use it, but when they start using it, they still have the feeling that, okay, we have those signals right now, and still when I'm coming to work in the morning, I still don't know who to call. I still don't have a clear list of, okay, this is okay, this is my top leads to call today because they did this and this and that in the last 5 days. I don't know. So that's a problem. And then there are some company having inbounds, and then they're just trying to figure out how to close them the quickest and the most efficient way. And still, they still have kind of signals, because people signing up, use the product and so on, and they still don't know how to follow up, which copy works, and so on. So I think again, the CRM should be the source of truth for everything, should be the source of truth for signals, activation, where your leads is in the stage. But at the end, the CRM right now is not capturing everything related to signals. So I don't know.
Because CRMs weren't built for that. They were built for salespeople manually going in and saying, I talked to this company, we said this and that. I talked to Bill from SalesCaptain. They're not meant to capture 500 visits to your website, product sign up, usage of different features, and interaction on LinkedIn. And this is why we're seeing, for example, LinkedIn first CRMs, but it still doesn't include everything else that you need.
And also on Lemlist right now, I mean, of course you can see all the signals and then activate them, but we have a proper integration with the HubSpot, a good one, very good one. And so right now the signals you have on Lemlist, you can also see them on HubSpot. I think that's also something, because this is not related to outbound, but we have some key account manager at Lemlist, and so they need to see which kind of action those accounts are doing on Lemlist, and that's also signals, that's internal signals.
Yeah, and then the issue is, who is the signal handled by? If there's a product sign up, it's a really big company, they're using the product and they stop using it. Is it someone from the sales team that's managing that? Is it the marketing that's automating the workflow? Even the handoff of the signals and kind of aligning, it is a signal, it is going to be captured by the marketing or the product team, but then the sales team needs to act. So who's acting, and where and how is that recorded? And how do we make the decision that, hey, because we're having so many signups, we're only going to include sales reps when a certain threshold and above is crossed, whether it's ICP fit or maybe intense product usage.
And that's where the RevOps role is like crucial in those company, like making sure everything is aligned and the sales team works on the right signals at the right time.
Yeah,
that's not part of the show. We are sorry for that.
And then you end up on Google Meet. I can't stop laughing. Sorry about that. Yeah. So intense signals. How do we leverage them, and how do we actually prioritize? Did we skip a few things? We might have. We were on slide 15, I think. Perfect.
Yep.
And we're not going to be capturing signals apparently from that webinar, but since we have the chat and we have the question and we want to make it worth your guys' time, if you want to drop, if you're actually leveraging signals as part of your outbound strategy, and if you want also maybe what those signals are. If it's your key recipe and it's an industry secret, don't worry, don't give it away. And also, we're not going to tell anyone, but feel free to let us know how close you are to signals, what are you actually using. And then in the end, I'll reveal my personal trainer and my workout regime, as someone was asking about on the previous chat. Or maybe not. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Erwan, do you wanna move us to the next?
Yeah. I was just wondering because people said like the meeting is full. So we cannot. I mean, probably.
Oh, we have 151.
Yeah.
150. So, okay.
Let's do it. Yeah. Okay, so the question will be like, do you leverage intense signals right now as part of your advanced strategy? So I'm curious about if yes, which kind, and of course, like in which kind of GTM motions also. You can answer in the chat, maybe.
Yeah, and of course, obviously, for everyone having issues and not being able to join, we'll make sure everyone receives the full recording, both of the recordings, and we might have to do a replay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's go. Let's move on. I have no idea how to switch the slides, but maybe Julia and Thea can help from the back end.
So yeah, so yeah, scrapping LinkedIn. People said scrapping LinkedIn posts and posting with AI, hiring for specific role. Okay, so interesting. I think LinkedIn right now is like the best place for having signals in B2B. But there's other places also. Let's try to fix the GTM issues you have with like kind of a workflow or a methodology you can use. As Bill said, like you don't need to have a complex orchestration because signals tend to be technical, but I think like everyone should use signals in the most efficient way and making sure that fits the needs of the company you're working with. Because of course you're saying on LinkedIn, like, hey, you should do this and do that. But at the end, what's matter is like what's working for yourself. So to orchestrate a signals motion, you need three things, of course, signals, of course, coming in. So for that, you need to, of course, think about where those signals live right now and what's a good fit for your ICP and the way you're selling. Of course, you need, of course, scoring and segmentation. Every signals have not the same value. And again, you need also to make sure like you segment those signals, making sure that it's internal data or external data, making sure also like you can have probably a way to add them into the motion like continuously. And of course, at the end, you need actions. And by actions, I mean the outbound sequences and multi-channel touches you might have for activating those signals. So that's the third thing you need to have. And at the end, like what's working is like making sure those things are working together.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like this sentence because I write it, I guess. It's like the output is not just one email. People think about, okay, I have those signals, I have everything, and I need to send that email. And because I send an email, people will answer and have a meeting booked and so on. That's not how it works. You need to you need to think about these accounts. You need to think, okay, these accounts show that kind of signals and so on. So I need to think about the strategy I should have. And that's what you said, Bill, previously, is like to be creative. I think that's probably the most exciting part okay, you have those signals, you have that accounts, and then you said, okay, in which way I should enter that account? Should I don't know, send first email to that ICP and then, I don't know, LinkedIn DM to his or her colleagues? I mean, that's the way of thinking, and signals allow this.
Yeah, no, makes sense. And it's what you said. It's not just one email, because I think people are kind of stuck in that model. I build a list and I reach out to people. So there's the instant kind of need to be like, okay, now where do I send the emails, or when do I send the emails? And it's like, okay, you'll send emails. Like, don't worry about it. But there's a lot of things that you also have to take into consideration.
Yeah.
And I think you've prepared something quite exciting for us, something that was even interesting to discuss even with you in the background, which is the go-to-market plays powering 40 million ARR.
Yeah, I mean, no pressure, of course, because I'm just telling how to do 40 million ARR, which is not that simple. But yeah, I think like what's working for us right now is like concrete example of TOFU, MOFU, BOFU, like top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel campaign. Because of course, like we have right now a lot of signals at Lemlist. We have roughly like 1,000 signups a day. And so, of course, you have a lot of signals coming in. You have a lot of, I mean, the market is huge for us as a sales agreement platform. So we need to prioritize the way of doing those outbound campaigns based on signals. And so I'm sharing like 3 campaigns we have right now for top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. So the first one for top of funnel is like a pretty like simple signals, which is like a new sales rep is hired in a company, which happen a lot, to be honest. And so when someone joined the company as an SDR, BDR, whatever, we have a campaign sending a playbook to that IC. It is not the decision maker, it's just an IC. And because it just entered the company and we say, okay, you probably have like a ramp up and so on. So you need to be efficient in your way of selling. So this is the playbook a company like yourself is doing right now with Lemlist. And as an SDR, you can have like a proper workflow to like trying to use Lemlist and or something else, making sure like at the end the awareness is working. And when an SDR is joining a company, he is in his mind is like, okay, Lemlist is helping me in either way. And so that's campaign right now. I mean, those campaigns, because we have a lot, like works because again, like if an SDR is talking to his manager saying, oh, I just have that playbook from Lemlist, you should have a look and so on. So that campaign opens 700 deals in 2025. And you can have that strategy with a lot of kind of signals. The only thing is like, if Julia can go to the next slide, is like in the copy, you should be very soft. You should not sell anything. You should be very soft.
Yeah.
And you should just like, okay, you just joined the company. This is the playbook real people and real company are using. I'm giving it for free and no counterpart, which is like the way of doing outbound in top of funnel motions.
Exactly. Yeah, and the message does play a big role, and even in the response that you end up receiving or not.
Yeah. So that's the top of funnel campaign we have on the list that working, and I think that's something easily duplicatable for your company.
Nice. Then let's get on with how you actually build it. So obviously, I put a slide just for people who want to copy and paste, or maybe who want a little bit of inspiration. Just with like, okay, here are the signals. Like if you ask me what are the prepackaged signals that we can get, or maybe some ideas for how to structure them, like that's one. The other thing is, and I really resonate with everyone's approach, is viewing it in a top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel kind of way. And it does show that this is coming from a marketer, same as myself. That's why I can really resonate with it, because once you look at it like that, the definition of top of funnel and what it means for one company might be completely different for what it means for a different company, SLG versus PLG, B2B SaaS versus anything else. So let's move on to the next slide with, so intent signals. As I said, like there's a few different categories, but the way that they benefit us, so we can start kind of building the playbook and showcasing how they work, is actually in identifying and prioritizing accounts. Like that's the whole gist of it, being like, okay, where do I focus? Which account do I deal with? This is it. And we're going to be showing, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about how to tie the signal to a specific account and actually have that data in your CRM so you can actually advise the next best action for your sales team. The key is when you layer, bless you to whoever sneezed, the key is layering the intent data with firmographic and technographic filters, because again, as we've mentioned in before, is just having the signal is not enough. Like a website visit from Microsoft or Oracle is not the same as a website visit from anonymous LTD. So the ability to tie the signal with the company that created it is what actually gives us kind of the intellect to act. And also in terms of, if you think about it, like signals are probably the second most important segment. So again, when we're talking about signals, it doesn't mean that we don't want to reach out to cold audiences. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is the second most likely group of people to buy your products and services are the people that are actually generating signals in your market. That's it. The first and most important audience segment, I'll be sharing just in a sec, just for the hype. Yeah, and then the good thing about signals from a marketing perspective that I really like is it allows us to target buyers who are not just problem aware, but also most likely solution aware. Because if I start looking for, let's say, a signals orchestration platform, it means I have a problem with signals orchestration, and which is a problem, and I'm looking for a solution. So being able to tie these two things is what actually having intent signals outreach and a go-to-market motion gives us. I have just two examples from clients, but I'm not going to take too much time on them. The first one is a cybersecurity company in a really crowded, commoditized space, was created obviously issues for us for how to crack their campaigns. What we ended up doing is we built a lot of different custom scrapers that allow us to identify companies that are experiencing cybersecurity breaches or are reporting that a different company has experienced breaches through multiple different ways. And then we orchestrate that data, clean it up because they only work with specific types of companies and geos, and then we reach out. And that actually allows us to drive pipeline for them for really high deal sizes in a way that traditional companies or traditional outreach just wouldn't have worked. Another one, again, from like a HR and services platform, which is, you know, the obvious one, is we're scraping job listings, but we're not reaching out to anyone. We're identifying the HR director and reaching out to offer recruitment services and a platform with a lot of filtering in the back end regarding the types of companies we reach out to, and also making sure to leverage. They have a big database because they've been operating for the past 7 years now. So they have a big database with customers they've helped and the results and the people they've helped place. So whenever we reach out to the company, yes, the signal is the first part, but it's also we interpret the signal using AI, and then we tie it to a specific use case. And then because they also have a candidates platform, we pull candidates from that platform. So we're able to say, hey, hey, Lemlist, we see you're hiring for a VP of growth. Here is a similar company that we worked with that was looking for a VP of growth, and here are some profiles that might actually be a good fit for you. And that allows us to scale our campaigns quite extensively. Don't worry, everyone, we're not replacing you.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. So how does it work? Like, what do we do with it? I broke it down to kind of 3 really basic steps. I think Erwan hinted at it as well. The first one is signal capture. If we want to implement signals, regardless of the platform, the first step is how do we identify the signal? How do we collect it? Meaning, obviously, we have to know what signal to look for, but the first step is data collection and what are the sources? Is the source, we literally did that. I don't mention it as a case study because we did it for SalesCaptain, and I hate boasting. And I wouldn't want to reference the conference because it was a big marketing conference with a custom platform that was accessible from an app only. We literally built a custom scraper, scraped everyone from the app, put them on Clay, made sure that we excluded anyone who wasn't our ICP, filtered them out, and then we reached out to the people that were our actual ICP. So data collection is the first part. It is interesting, obviously, if you're using Lemlist, that a lot of the signals are built into the app, including web visitors, which kind of is a must turn on for me for every single client that we kind of work with. the second step is identify and enrich. Like, as we said, just because a signal happened, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a company I want to reach out to. If we have SalesCaptain's competitors visiting our website and accessing our resources, I don't necessarily want to reach out to them. And the amount of time people reach out to me specifically, offering me outbound or go-to-market or signals implementations, just creeps me out. It makes me laugh usually, but I'm like, okay, like, do we actually know how signals work? So the second step is enriching the companies. Okay, Bill from SalesCaptain visited my website or signed up for a demo. What's Bill's company? What's the industry? What is Bill's company's size? What is Bill's job title? And then segmenting with AI. Is there a specific bucket of prospects where Bill or SalesCaptain belongs to that we have a different message for? Maybe Lemlist, for example, has different messaging for agencies and different messaging for, B2B SaaS companies and different messaging for services companies. So we have to take that into consideration before we act. And then the next step is taking action. And taking action, again, doesn't necessarily mean sending out an email. It might be just adding that signal to the CRM, tying it to a specific account, and then maybe creating a task for an AE to take over, or creating a specific workflow that's maybe manual or includes manual steps. It could obviously mean also doing automated outreach. So, you have thousands of product signups. In that case, for example, you don't want everyone to be touched by an AE. So you segment them on the second step. The ones that make sense, you hand them over to your sales teams. The ones that you want to, push to a more PLG approach, you might have a custom follow-up campaign within Lemlist that kind of explains them the product features, offers support if they need that. And maybe there's a third step where you notify your team on Slack if there's a really big account signing up in your product.
And I think this is the time for a middle of funnel campaign. So at Lemlist right now, we are working with creators on LinkedIn specifically. Yeah. So working with them to make sure their audience know Lemlist and building awareness and building conversion on top of that. So right now, those people are posting on LinkedIn. And so a good signal is when someone engage with the LinkedIn post. By engage, I mean like or comments. And so we are actually gathering those like and comments as a signals. We're filtering within our ICP, because of course we don't want to target everyone that will react to those posts. Those posts are talking about Lemlist. I mean, of course, if you want to do that campaign on other posts that talk about competitor or talk about the subject of your company and so on, that's also possible. But in our case, of course, it's very targeted, because if people react to a post that talk about Lemlist, that's a very high intent for us. And other way is if they are in our ICP, it's either a good momentum to reach out. So what we are doing right now is gathering all those signals, featuring them, and then send a targeted campaign. If you can go to the next slide. So the targeted campaign is pretty. I mean, people think about signals and campaign this is the 12 steps stuff with emails and LinkedIn and blah, blah. Sometimes the simpler campaign works the best. And so that campaign works the best because this is very easy, invites and then just a chat message. And so that campaign right now is working very well. Of course, it's very targeted because people are, influencers are talking about Lemlist. But that's very, very interesting because, of course, you open a discussion and sometimes you have crazy results. For example, we work with Giulio Segantini. Probably people here know him because he's crazy and he make a good content on LinkedIn. And so he just start working with us. For example, we outreach people liking and commenting this post. We have a plus 35% reply rate. And we just generate roughly 20 good deals for Lemlist. So that's how things work. I mean, of course, it sounds easy, but at the end, as I was saying, sometimes the easiest thing is the most efficient way. So yeah, that's the middle of funnel. And again, you can do that even if you're not doing influence, because you can just scrap people from liking another post, another competitor post, and so on. So that's also a strategy you can run.
Yeah, 100%, and that's the beauty of it, and that's what I really love as well. Is top of the funnel is the campaigns we discussed before. It's pretty much what people have associated traditionally with signals. But there's also middle of funnel when people, which can be interpreted in a lot of different ways. One of them, which makes a lot of sense, is creator-led growth, and there's a lot of different playbooks you can have on the back of that. I said before that like intent signals based campaigns or motions are the second most important audience, because your first most important audience is inbound led outbound, which we're also going to be discussing and labeling as BOFU. Because these are people who have already engaged with your marketing, with your website, with your sales team. Maybe they're in your CRM, maybe they're testing out your product. And this is your most important account segment ever. And I don't think there's any debate about that at all. These are the people who are ready to buy, who are potentially ready to buy, right? Maybe not necessarily ready to buy, and who live on your app, on your CRM, who are looking at your website. From a marketing perspective, this is the ideal segment because they're problem aware, they have a problem, they're solution aware, they know what kind of solution is out there, and they're also brand aware, they're aware of you. So anyone who fits those three buckets definitely deserves special attention. So, and this is where the term inbound led outbound kind of came to be. It's like people who are engaging with our inbound, with us in an inbound way, and then we turn that into outbound by engaging with them, whether it's an automated touch, whether it's someone from the sales team taking over. And this is where, you know, a group of data called, you know, internal data, or whatever you want to call it, comes in. It's first party data, things that we have captured that we can actually leverage across the customer journey. I've actually included some kind of workflows to kind of map out a little bit how it looks like. I think they got a bit squeezed in the slides, but I still will walk you through it and give you practical examples. The first one is website visitor identification, identifying companies that visit your website, segmenting by both the pages they visited and the ICP, because you want to identify, is it, you know, someone visiting the demo page, someone visiting maybe the enterprises page, someone visiting the agency page, someone visiting a specific industry page, maybe case studies. And then based on the activity that they did and the ICP of the company, finding out relevant people from that company and reaching out. It's an obvious flow. You can execute it in a number of different ways. One obvious example for us in the next slide, and yes, we will definitely share the slides afterwards, is a company that does time tracking and employee kind of analytics, where they have a lot of inbound. They've built it for the past, like, I think 5 or 10 years, huge SEO traffic coming in to their product and demo pages, and they're not necessarily converting everyone into demos. So we're using ICP scoring. We score every single company that visits, and then prioritize those companies by intent. The other thing that we're doing that's quite interesting as well, I haven't included it here, but it's a second workflow that we built, is we de-anonymize the signups, because a lot of times companies, even big ones, might sign up with a Gmail address or an Outlook address, you know, without realizing it, and you end up having Lemlist signing up as a potential user, and you end up ignoring them. And Lemlist ends up turning, not, you know, really ending up using your product. And you're like, how did I miss this opportunity? So the other thing we did is we built a second flow that de-anonymizes signups. And then the ones that are important to the sales team, we pass on to the sales team because they have an inbound team. The ones that, you know, can be automated, we handle via Lemlist in an automated kind of way. A second workflow that we're starting to tap in quite heavily on is the LinkedIn ads engagement, LinkedIn ads and engagement harvesting, both people interacting with your LinkedIn content or maybe influencers, as well as people engaging with your ads. You can actually scrape. There's multiple tools that allow you to do that. You don't even need to build something custom. Zen IBM and Teamfluence are just two of those tools that allow you to grab in real time the people who are engaging with your content, with your ads, maybe with influencers using specific keywords. Obviously, you need to enrich the ICP. You know, if I'm engaging with our content, maybe I'm not the most likely candidate for outreach. And then find the right decision makers if it's a company engaging or if it's a company level signal. And then auto DM them on LinkedIn, maybe follow up via email, maybe add them to the CRM. One of our favorite plays in those cases is we actually send people a lead magnet that's relevant when it comes to SalesCaptain, at least, because we talk a lot about workflows and intent signals and go-to-market. We'll share the relevant workflow, or we'll offer to share the relevant workflow that we mentioned in that kind of post. Another one on the next slide that we've included is a company that's growing quite fast, doing AI content for brands. they're spending quite heavily on LinkedIn ads. And LinkedIn ads are an underappreciated signal, mostly because we weren't able to tap into the action taking place and connect it to, you know, a go-to-market, let's say, activity. So people engage with the ads, maybe they like, they comment, they click. LinkedIn does have that data in the backend, but it's hidden in the LinkedIn ads platform. And how do you put an AE or a BDR on the back end of LinkedIn ads, monitoring every single day and grabbing those companies and filtering them out and enriching them in real time? So again, we're using a similar process. I think we're using Zape as an ABM for this one as well, to actually grab in real time the people engaging, the companies engaging, identify the right people, and then there's a BDR team on the back end and an automated set of campaigns that actually target the people who are engaging, and then with contextual, obviously, let's say outreach and calling them. And this actually ends up converting quite heavily versus just waiting for people to click on the LinkedIn ad and convert through the website itself. And this kind of little hack, connecting the action with the action that the prospect does on the ad with an action that the sales team can do, and not waiting for the user to convert on the website, has actually allowed us to skyrocket results. Obviously, on LinkedIn, you can also target specific accounts, so it's a really targeted set of campaigns. And it's kind of similar to the example that Erwan discussed with the influencer campaigns. It allows you to pre-warm your audience and then reach out to them when the time is right. Another one, again, an obvious one, someone said, but don't you use Cloud to capture signals? Of course we do. So let's say you have deals in your CRM, maybe larger deals in a sales-led motion. You can monitor for signals, whether they're re-engaging with your website, maybe they're re-engaging with your decks. We happen to use a platform called dock.us that allows us to track how many times and when someone visits our decks. So whenever someone gets reactivated, we receive notifications on Slack. This is why I mentioned sometimes it gets quite overwhelming. And then we also score those companies and update our CRM, and then alert the sales team, because a salesperson is already in touch with those, to actually reach out. Sometimes we might follow up in an automated way. Most of the cases, we'll just call them and be like, hey, I saw you checking out X, Y, and Z. Let us show you our latest, playbook. A lot of them we invited to this webinar. Hopefully we might have a few of them. This is a use case we applied for a company called Palawise that offers social media analytics. Right on the next slide, which is we monitor dormant accounts because they sell 20 to 40K deal sizes, and they sell to brands like Domino's. It's actually the next slide. Thank you, Julia. The right one before that. Yeah, perfect. We'll figure it out. Bugs in the matrix.
This is Lifestorm fault again.
It's a negative intent signal. If we have any Livestorm competitors on the call, you can
you can reach out to me. They're quite fast.
Yeah. You'll get an instant conversion. We actually helped Palawise close Domino's as a client. Because one of the issues that they had is we would drive a lot of demand through outbound. It worked quite well. They would have a first call with Palawise, and then they would kind of become dormant, and they now have 30 calls every single month just from outbound. But they weren't converting at a high percentage. So what we did is we started monitoring for secondary activities, repeat website visits, checking out their offers, their sales materials, and then we fed that back to their sales team, who's super active, and they started calling people directly and kind of resurfaced quite a few interesting deals.
And last but not least, I think what's interesting also is to use those signals in bottom of funnel to convert the inbound you have at Lemlist. As I said, we have roughly 1,000 signups a day. And so they have a 14 days free trial. In those signups, we identified those that we aim to convert more largely. So people having multiple seats potential and so on. And so we use those criteria to make sure we target those people and making sure they take a demo, even though they didn't ask for it at first, through email, of course, through LinkedIn also, and also we give those lists and those signups to the sales rep that can call them saying, okay, hello, you just signed up on Lemlist. I think that's interesting for you to have a quick chat with me because I think the ramp up will be effective and so on. And so it's very efficient, to be honest. Of course, because people sign up on the product, which is probably the highest intent you can have. But still, some people sign up and then don't use the product or are not your ICP, so you don't want to talk to them that much. And so we prioritize those signups and making sure they take a demo. And so this is how the campaigns looks like. Pretty straightforward. Email, LinkedIn, and then a task of call. So I think, like, again, this is a highest intent, but that campaign is working very well. And of course, the LTV is way higher because those people were interested in Lemlist at first. And we have a 42 booked meeting rate, which is actually very high, again, because those people were interested at first. So this is the campaign strategy at Lemlist we have regarding signals. So top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. We have roughly like 100 campaigns running at the same time because we orchestrate, thanks to Hugo in the growth team working on outbound. We orchestrate everything and making sure like everything is running smoothly, and also making sure like the sales rep have a clear vision on what's happening in our outbound campaigns.
I haven't met Hugo, but he sounds like a really cool guy.
Hugo is a really cool guy.
Yeah, and then the last kind of part would be AI-led outbound, which is how can we leverage, how can we automate a lot of the activities that our sales reps are doing, and then be able to personalize and reach out to people at scale. Obviously, Play along with Lemlist is included in there. It'll become a lot more relevant once we go through the kind of the final slides. My point is those signals can also be used, in the exact next slide, those signals can also be used for broad ICP outreach. Like even if you're reaching out to a broad audience, you can still layer in signals on top of that and be able to have somewhat more personalized messaging for some of those prospects versus, just blasting everyone with the exact same message. Signals can also work in allowing you to prioritize accounts, meaning, you might have a really large TAM. You don't necessarily want to reach out to every single company altogether. You want to prioritize the ones that are, the warmest, especially if you're doing a new product launch or venturing into a new market or a new industry. You want to make sure you prioritize the companies within your outreach that are more likely to buy, even though you're still reaching out to everyone. No shame in that. And leveraging signals is also a really cool way to do that. The other thing that I can't really not mention or avoid mentioning is building your own signals, which is kind of like the last part, which is, yes, prepackaged signals inside of platforms work, but the thing is everyone else is using them. And we now have the tools to extract and make sense of any kind of data point across the web. I mentioned an example with the conference outreach. So if we can have any kind of data point, why aren't we doing it? So there's a lot of different platforms that we can leverage for that, including obviously the kind of default platforms like Clay and Claygen, but there's also more custom things that we can be doing. We can find lookalike companies with Ocean. We can find competitor followers. We can monitor ABM lists. The other cool thing about it is you don't necessarily have to build those signals. So I mentioned the conference outreach. The way we ended up doing it, because they had a custom platform you couldn't really access or scrape with any kind of default scraper, we paid someone $50 on Upwork to actually build the scraper for us. And we also paid them again to build a custom bot that lived on top of the platform using RPA that messaged every single person who was part of our ICP. So we extracted the data, that was the scraper, put it into Clay, cleaned it up, enriched it, segmented it, kept only the people we wanted to reach out to. And then we found email addresses and we did email outreach. And then on top of it, we built, let's say, like a bot that lived on top of the platform and kind of messaged everyone that we cared about. Nowadays, you can also do that with Cloud Code if vibe coding is your vibe. So I'm not saying it has to be one way, but my biggest takeaway is you don't have to be technical to do that. All you need is a really good idea. That's why I kind of mentioned in the beginning that creative data is the new creative. It's no longer about having the super amazing copy or saying something extraordinary. As long as you can target the right people at the right time, I guess, that matters quite a lot more. An interesting example to that, which I also called instead building your own signals and your own data points. There's a Series B company in the US that were scraping local businesses in real time. We're segmenting them into 5 different business buckets because they serve them a little bit differently: wellness, spas, hair salons, etc. types of businesses. We do AI enrichment and segmentation by competitor. We will detect if they're using any of kind of 5 or 6 different competitors because they have different USPs for every competitor, and then we'll tailor the message both by the type of business and by which competitor they might be using. And then we reach out at scale. It's not necessarily signal in the sense of these businesses are looking for something, but it's just good use of AI to create custom data points, being like, this company belongs to this sub-industry. Because if you've tried scraping data off of Google Maps, it just gives you a really broad and generic category that's not really useful in that regard. The cool thing about it is we're also feeding data to their in-house sales team, who are calling people a week or 2 after we reach out via email. So there's a mass campaign going out, super segmented, highly personalized and relevant. And then their sales team on top is also calling people to make sure that we're actually maximizing kind of the impact. DMing attendees, event attendees, I ended up giving that one away, kind of how we go about it, the scraping. Same thing you can do for webinars, events, anything that you're actually hosting live, especially if you include questions inside of a webinar, which we would have also done if Livestorm, had survived. But, we failed because we were super successful. That's what I'm going to call this webinar. Yeah, and then the example with SalesCaptain, as I mentioned, we built it for $50, and the conference had 10,000 attendees. About a third were competitors, not direct competitors to SalesCaptain, but were other marketing agencies, and we obviously filtered them out. The other cool thing that we did is for people who lived in the same, I'm not going to mention the state or the city or anything, so I don't give it away. We ended up scraping a subset of CMOs and CROs, and we invited them to a private dinner. And then we also, at the same time, were hosting a much larger event where we invited everyone else as well. So the CTA was not by SalesCaptain, like we didn't care. As long as we could present that there's something that you could be building and doing differently, there's different tools, there's different ways to use AI in your outbound motion, that's enough. And that's hopefully what we're trying to do here with Erwan as well. So some tips and tricks, and we're nearing the end of our time, and I'm being mindful of that, of implementing signals across more than 100 accounts now and seeing a lot of different use cases. The first one is how do you kind of budget for signals? Because if you have specific email accounts, a specific what we call monthly budget of outreach, we've identified that per signal, you can be budgeting about 200 prospects every single month. So 5 signals equals 1,000 different prospects a month. Some signals will have more people joining them. Some will have a smaller number of people joining. We keep track of those numbers and we readjust. Obviously, setting up a new signal means you have to make a guess and then you have to adjust. And then we adjust, obviously, the signal based on reality, not what we assume it actually looks like. The other one is you can build your own signals, which I mentioned also before. Building essentially prospect lists your competitors don't have access to, because anyone, again, as I said, can open Apollo, do a scrape of an industry and reach out, but no one has access to people inside of Lemlist's directory that are certified outbound agencies, let's say, which is a super specific audience. You can't really find them on LinkedIn if you go and click marketing services, but maybe you want to talk to these agencies or to the agencies. So being able to identify really segmented lists. Just to give you an example, we had one client and we tested it as a use case. They wanted to identify bakeries that are not just retailers, but also bake their own bread. So we started scraping Google Maps listings, checking the photos using a data scraper that processes images and trying to identify photos of equipment so that we can signal that these are bakeries that are actually also kind of have the machines and the equipment for it. So that can be the edge. That's why creativity is still important. Differentiation is still important. It's just no longer creativity in creating really fancy copy. It's just how can we build signals no one else has access to, and that's how I'm thinking about it. Obviously, those signals include people in our CRM because no one else has access to that list, or people visiting our website, or people checking out our LinkedIn profile. Please don't do this. On the next slide, I still receive outreach. I'm not saying don't scrape people who engage with my content. Lemlist would probably, everyone would probably say the same, but please, if you're reaching out to the people who engage with it, don't mention Sales Captain. Don't mention that you scraped my post. People still do it. And then I have my friends DMing me and being like, hey, Bill, I literally had someone message me on WhatsApp and say, liking your posts became an outbound trigger. I'm like, okay, you can identify the people, you can get the list, but you don't have to mention, oh, Bill, the CEO of Sales Captain did this, and that. You know, you can do it in a more gentle way. Maybe you can say, P.S. If you're into go-to-market, Bill creates amazing content on LinkedIn. Have you ever, seen his content? And the rest of your message can be contextual to what the signal was that you identified. Yeah, the other thing is not all signals are created equal. So, someone visiting, as I said, a random page on the website is not a signal. A really big account visiting a really important page or signing up for something specific is a signal you want to pay more attention to. So that is definitely worth mapping out for every business. And then kind of like the final question to kind of start wrapping things up, but also talk a little bit about orchestration is, how can we action go-to-market and all the signals, let's say, in our universe, not the intent signals necessarily, in a way that we can share them with the other teams in the business, whether it's marketing or go-to-market or sales, in a unified way, and we can codify who goes into which bucket. So we identified there's 3 types of scores you need to have. The first one is an account fit score, like who is it that we're targeting? How close of an ICP fit are they? That obviously requires knowing your ICPs. The second one is the behavior score, like what did they interact with? How many times did they interact with the same signal? It's not the same, again, as I said, one webinar sign up to the entire marketing team or sales team signing up for a webinar. And the other one is potential contract value, like based on what you've seen, how likely is this to be a small account, a big account, an agency account that has maybe all their clients as clients? Where does that data live? In a really kind of simple way, it lives inside of the CRM. The kind of question or note with that is, how do we build them and how do we kind of end up orchestrating? If we can go to the next slide, which is kind of an example. Exactly. Clay and Lemlist is good enough for many things. Clay and Lemlist are part of our default combo for many things. And then the next slide. These are just 2 data points that can live inside of your CRM as an entry. The thing is, how do we action them? So based on those 3 scores, you can tier accounts in a way that makes sense to you, to kind of small accounts, non-active, big accounts, super active, big accounts, not really engaging, small accounts, super active. And we've kind of created a matrix that you can put those people into different tiers, exactly on the next slide, where you can also have specific types of activities or follow-ups and even channels that you're engaging these people through. I know the font is probably super small to read. Tier 1 accounts are big accounts that are super active, that have a high engagement score, the one on the top right, the green ones, for which we might actually funnel them directly to our sales team or the AA team. And the medium of communication is obviously email, LinkedIn calls, like we need those people engaged with us. Tier 2 is the one below, the yellowish one, which is high account fit, like it's a big account, we care about them, but they have low engagement scores. You obviously don't want to make them unsubscribe. You want to keep in contact with them. So you want to have a lighter kind of approach where you're sending out content and engaging with them in ways that allow you to start a conversation, but again, not enough to make them say, just leave me alone, Bill. Tier 3, these are people who are engaging with you quite a bit, but they're low account fit. For us, for example, that might be anyone who's in outbound, who's a competitor, who's engaging quite a lot with our content, but we don't really have anything to sell to them, which is still fine. And in those cases, we'll either send outbound emails with BOFU for some quick revenue wins if it's not a competitor. In other cases, we'll just maybe choose not to act. And then low engagement score, low ICP fit, we typically just deprioritize them. Obviously, anyone can join our webinars, our newsletter, and all that, but we don't put money and attention into that. Top right signals, top right and bottom right ones, we might actually also spend on ads for them. So highest fit accounts who are super active will spend ads to showcase the latest case studies and CPAs. And then also the ones that are big accounts that are not super engaged, we'll try to kind of reactivate them using that content again, either through LinkedIn or through retargeting campaigns. And then the last thing is, how do we orchestrate all that? How do you make it happen? So you obviously have the signals, which we've discussed. You then have kind of the brain, the orchestration of the signals, like identifying which account the action belongs to and how important it is, and then feeding those signals into your kind of systems of action, whether it's the sales team inside HubSpot or Salesforce, whether it's an automated campaign inside of Lemlist, whether it's a notification on Slack. That's kind of how you orchestrate go-to-market in the exact next slide. Not just one channel, but all the channels that you can take and does a unified motion. That allows marketing to always be aware of what's going on, sales to prioritize where human effort is needed, while marketing is taking care in a more bulk way the rest of the prospects through advertising, warm-up, etc. Tools like Clay, AI in general, Lemlist help you tie things together, and there's a really special announcement related to that. And then kind of the B2B funnel is a real-time model, like the TOFU, MOFU, and BOFU. These are no longer set segments, like these are actual companies that can move from one stage to the other. So we need to be updating those models at least maybe once a month, depending on how fast the decisions are being made in our field. So someone interacts with us, we need to know, in a 30 to 90-day period, what engagement levels happened and score that and act accordingly. So the only question is, we have signals. Everyone has access to signals. How do we pick the right signals? And how do we actually orchestrate them in the right and most impactful way for our businesses?
All right. Thank you, Bill. That was very insightful, and I think very like step by step for people like wanted to start using signals. Thanks again for the attention you guys have. The last 100 people being here, and I think the reward is like having those exclusivity and exciting reveal we have at Lemlist and SalesCaptain. So the first one is like you might know, and if you don't, I encourage you to take a look on Lemlist right now. We have 5 signals available, so you can leverage it directly from Lemlist. What we are announcing today is like we have 7 new signals coming in, and also like Bill said, we are allowing people to create their own custom signal. So the overall thing is like making sure like you have the power to do anything you want to create, and on Lemlist you can actually doing it, and even more with those signals coming in.
Yeah.
And the enrichment part, you might know again that on Lemlist you can enrich your contacts, finding their phone numbers and emails. We have a very good actually like matching rate to find those emails and phone numbers, but we actually announced that we have plus 10 new exclusive partnership to be announced, making sure like we can gather all the markets, all the contacts you might have. And 2 other things, of course, emails connection request withdraw is like something on LinkedIn that's probably bothering a lot of people. But you can also like use it now on Lemlist in your sequences, and also a dynamic sender. So sending an email and or LinkedIn DM from the contact owner. So that's relevant for a bigger sales team, making sure like you can have that relationship with the account. I mean, being like long and working.
Yeah, and I think the game here and how it is important is, for example, and this is one I'm super excited about, LinkedIn company page followers, we had to pay third-party tools and use other platforms to then get the data, put it on Clay, enrich it, clean it up, put it back on Lemlist and run the campaign. So it's not like Lemlist wasn't part of the process, but it was only the campaign orchestration part. Now it's kind of becoming more like the brain in a lot of different signals that are actually impactful. And also easier to implement, because I'm not saying that salespeople are not technical, but if your job is talking to people,
you cannot do anything. You cannot do everything.
You don't have the time for it. It's not just people. No one's saying that salespeople aren't capable or they can't learn how to use 3 different tools, but it's just, is this the best use of someone's time? Is it setting up signals in a custom kind of way in 3 different tools to orchestrate things?
Awesome. And also we wanted to have something actionable for you to Go is like 3 things to keep in mind for that session. So first, like the prepackaged signals are not a silver bullet. So you need to be creative at some points and making sure like those signals are working for your motion, markets, whatever. Not every signal is the same. Of course, you need to prioritize them and making sure like you are using them at the right time with the right message. And GTM and signals orchestration, what Bill said, is like bringing just marketing and sales together and making sure like the GTM motion is, I think, of course, the same, but also working together with the, I mean, of course, all the marketing, branding, awareness, and so on, and then the activation with the sales team. And this is how signals is bringing the gap between those two teams.
Yeah, 100%. Q&A. Let's see. I know we're a bit over time, but if anyone has questions that we haven't covered, we were supposed to have our 2 amazing moderators, Julia and Thea, that we really have to give special credits and thanks to. And by the way, stay tuned because there's special gifts coming that I want to give a public shout to because they've done a lot of work. They set up everything for us, made sure that everything runs smoothly, worked on every single aspect of us being here and talking to you guys. And yeah, they were supposed to help us host a Q&A in a more structured way inside of Livestorm, but that didn't seem to be the case. I know there's still questions on the chat. We're going to go through them. If you want, you can also DM us. I think you have both mine and Erwan's LinkedIn profiles as well. We'll be happy to share more, and we'll go through the chat afterwards and see if we can message you if you have more specific questions. If anyone doesn't have anything specific, who screwed the webinar? Unfortunately, it wasn't human error. It was a platform error. But I'm not going to say more because we're live and recording. I collected a few questions to Thea. Okay, for scale up that doesn't have any CRM yet, yay, blank slate. What MVP system do you advise that we build to align marketing and sales? Ooh, if it's, I'll give it to you, Erwan, even though I do have an opinion. We're already starting to work with Lemlist. By the way, can we centralize different signals into a single dashboard? Okay, this one's yours.
I'm reading again. I think not having a CRM for sure is like something tricky if you interpret everything. But I think like starting with Lemlists is probably the best way. I mean, I'm preaching for my own church, but we should. I mean, the CRM could be a Google Sheet at some point. And so using Lemlist is like just gathering those signals and making sure you can activate those leads at the right time. But I mean, CRM is like just making sure like you can have another view. But if you're early stage and you don't have a CRM, you can just start using Lemlist, and Lemlist can work as a pre-CRM, I'd say, and making sure like you can leverage those intents, I guess. And can we centralize different signals into a single dashboard in Lemlist? It's middle yes, because I mean we don't have a dashboard for signals. Signals are creating like task, and so if anyone is entering a signals watch list, that's how we call them. So we create everyone is coming from that watch list to a campaign, and so is anyone entering that watch list, you go to the campaign directly. So that's not a single dashboard, that just meaning you just build workflow inside Lemlist and making sure people are just entering the right campaign for the signals.
Nice, and I'm sure since the new features are being live, it might be interesting for people testing them out as part of a go-to-market. Could you guys address the costs of having such a setup? The different platforms used and the AI, whatever added API costs. It'd be great to have a rough range, at least with respect to volume. So I would say literally the minimum. Like if you had one tool to pick, I would pick a platform like Lemlist because it allows you to have maybe Clay to an extent, but Clay would be a little bit more custom and it would require more work. And there's one sequencer that is kind of built in that's not as complete. I would use Lemlist because it now allows you to detect the signals and action on the signals, which is kind of like the complete package. So in terms of like minimum cost, whatever that subscription costs right now, depending on the volume you want to do, because Clay and in general API and credit usage is a big question. Definitely costs scale proportionately to the size of the outreach and how many signals you're actually tracking. So it does become kind of like a consolidation game. The way we typically treat it when it comes to either data sources or signals or different tools is we try to build the MVP as fast as we can, test it out, and then either the signals or the data sources that make the most sense, we'll end up buying like a direct API subscription to them. That's kind of how we minimize the costs. OpenAI and Claude costs in general, don't ask me, they're just skyrocketing. Let's see if we had any more questions that Theo might have picked up. Ben is saying, everyone, please, can you explain the LinkedIn connections feature in more depth? Is it followers and connections or just one of them? Can we use it frequently without being shut down by LinkedIn, or will we get rate limited?
It will be both, but we are just announcing the followers right now, but it will be both. So you can also like, I mean, not scrap, but watch. That's actually the term we are using. Watch which connection, for example, like an AE as in your competitors company like is adding, for example, because that might be like, for example, it signals that AE is entering the conversation with a new lead. So we can also scrap those connections, but right now it's just the followers of a company page here.
Awesome. Then let's go straight into the gifts section so we can wrap it up. The first thing is we have a playbook with more than 28 go-to-market workflows. You can literally copy and paste them. Some of them I shared them. There's probably 25 more in there. And then the second one is we've talked quite a bit about signals, go-to-market, TOFU, MOFU, BOFU. Our team has capacity for about 10 people to kind of design the go-to-market motion and build like a plan, how it needs to be. So if anyone is interested, you can book a call and just mention the Lemlist as the reason for booking the call, and we'll know. And the team at SalesCaptain that actually builds this for clients will design the ideal signals for you, some workflows that make sense based on your CRM, your website, your other marketing activities. So hopefully there's something for everyone here who's taking time to join us, despite the small platform hiccup.
That's a good bonus, a good gift, I guess. The second one is, of course, if you want to try and be a happy Lemlist customer and use those features I just announced, you can use that promo code that expires in 1 week. And this is minus 15% on your multi-channel license. In that plan, you can use any signals you want, enrich any, like, of course, contacts you have, and run, of course, the sequences to book your next meetings. So, of course, you will receive the slides, so you don't have to screenshot that promo code right now, because, of course, you can use it from now to 1 week until February 20th.
Nice, especially as people start testing new things.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. Yeah, super excited, genuinely. Like we're in an interesting, and we can end this. Anyone who wants to hop off, will hop off. We'll just stay a little bit back and kind of reflect. Like it's crazy where we are right now, both in terms of CRM is not being able to fully track the amount of data, the new data that is available, the race for who gets to track and capture and interpret the data, and obviously the teams that should be using that data in 2026 and beyond to actually guide their go-to-market. It's super exciting. Like genuinely, it's a really crazy time to be in the B2B space.
We're lucky to live it.
Yeah, 100%. Because we had the Facebook ads and the Bitcoin and the e-commerce and the drop shipping kind of craze that made B2C explosive over the past like 10 years. But we never had the ability to focus on the user. A lot of direct-to-consumer marketing was more generalized. Like this group of people interested in buying anonymously, they join the website, they buy. With B2B, the missing ingredient was the importance of the type of company, the size of the company, the action they're taking, and kind of tying that back to your ICP, because you don't want anyone as your customer at the end of the day. So that part, thanks to AI, is now there and available to everyone. And it's just mind-blowing to think about.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill. Thank you for the time. Thank you, Julia and Theo in the background for helping us doing this. Sorry again for the back and forth. And I hope you enjoy the discussion. We'll share the slide, of course, and
Exactly.
the two replay, because we have two replay right now. And making sure like you can follow Bill on LinkedIn, myself too, if you want to chat about anything. Happy to have a conversation, of course.
100%. And regarding my fitness regime, it all changed for me when I started tracking macros and increasing the reps on. And I know it sounds silly. I've been weightlifting for the past like 12 years. The biggest shift was tracking macros and making sure I stay mostly consistent, and then increasing the amount of weights I lift every single, almost every 2 or 3 weeks. That was the key. That helped. That's it. I'm not sharing PT recommendations yet. Let's see.
Thank
All
you,
right.
guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Have a
guys.
good day. Bye bye.